Welcome to You Can Plumbing Quickies. This is where we just get right down to business. We knock this repair out. We don't get quite into the same minutia as the longer ones. This is more for people that have a better handle, maybe just need a couple of pointers to make sure they're not breaking something before they get started. So let's jump right into it. It's our kitchen faucet handles leaking. So most likely it's just the cartridge is loosened off, unless your faucet is like 20 years old, then you'll probably need a new cartridge. But hopefully it just needs to be tightened up. So let's get started. You only need two tools for this, which is awesome. You need a pair of water pump pliers and a pair of Allen keys, set Allen keys, or hex keys, whatever you want to call them. So first things first, always shut the water off. If you don't shut the water off, you're going to make this into not a quickie. It's going to be a long repair. So let's drop down under the sink. Always remember, righty-tighty. Make sure we have it off. There we go. It's off. Now we grab our hex keys. Now I already know it's my 330 seconds, so for you, I would start somewhere around the 330 seconds. Now, with your handle, sometimes the Allen key will fit in a slot on the top, and that usually has a little plug in it. Now they may not come off easy if they've been in there for a long time. You may have to take, I don't know, a lot of time you get a little butter knife, you get a small little screwdriver, flathead screwdriver. You can get in around the edges and pop that out. Sometimes they're stuck in there good, so you're gonna have to go after it. Mine on this one is in the bottom. So you have to take your hex key, and usually the set screw is on the same angle as the handle. Now I don't know if the engineers planned it that way, but it seems to work out that way, so you're not just fishing in the dark here. So with that in mind, we're on that same angle. There we go. And now you'll have to wiggle it around a little bit to get it in there. So with this in mind, once we're in, righty-tighty, so we're loosening it, lefty-loosey. There we go. It'll take a couple of times around to get it loosened off enough. There we go. It's off. Place them down right beside. Okay. Now, here's your cartridge. The end of your cartridge held in by this set nut. So we could take that off without taking this decorative ring off. But I would rather take this decorative ring off, because I don't want to risk breaking it, chipping the edges. It's made out of plastic. You'll just be able to use your fingers. If it's been on there for a long time, it might be a little tougher, but hopefully you can get it with your fingers. If not, if you have a pair of those rubber dip gloves, put those on, maybe just moisten them a little bit. You should be able to get enough grip to pull that off. Once you have that done, get your water pump pliers. Now, take your water pump pliers, adjustable pliers, whatever you want to call them. Grab on just to the part that you're going to take off. You'll see there's kind of two pieces of brass here. This piece screws into there. Grab your water pump pliers, grab on. Same thing again. Going this way would be to tighten. We're loosening it off, lefty-loosey. There we go. Crank it a few times. Make sure you just have to finger unloosen it, because if you have to go harder, there are threads on this brass piece, and if you have to turn it hard and you slip, you'll cut your fingers for sure. Put that piece there. Now we're down to the cartridge here. Just pull that cartridge out, and now you'll see, I'm very fortunate, the rubber piece in there is still intact. So that's a good sign. It means that maybe it just loosened off over time. I mean, you do have hot and cold working at this, a whole bunch of dissimilar metals. So hopefully we can just put this back in, and it just needed to be tightened. So make sure don't feel any crud in there, and take a quick peek in there. No, it looks all good. If you want a more in-depth look at this, check out my longer form video on how to fix a kitchen faucet handle that's leaking. But this looks good. If not, I would just go over to my computer and I would just order another one of these. I go online. You can find the name of your tap usually on it somewhere. They're usually hidden for some reason. My brand is Pfister. I don't understand the naming of that. And you just go on to their website, find the cartridge that's the same, and order it up. Or maybe your local supplier might have it, depending on where you live. So hopefully we'll pop this back in. There's a couple of lineup tabs on it. We'll slide that back in. If you can't wiggle it around, you know you're in those tabs. Grab the set nut, put it over top. Sometimes you got to go back and forth to get these in. Never force it in, never force it. If you force it, you're probably going to strip those screws and then you're really screwed. Now, just get it to where it's finger tight. Once again, if you twist it, it's brass threads, they're sharp. You're going to cut your fingers, and that is a very painful paper cut. Now this time, we're tightening it so it's righty-tighty. We grab on. Now it's going to be very loose at first because you just finger tightened it. Once you get it to fairly tight, I just give it a tiny little bump at that point. There we go. Now we have the set screw in there, set nut, screw, whatever you want to call it, holding the cartridge in. So now we know that we don't have to worry about turning the water back on. It's not going to fire the cartridge across the room, but it's a good time to check and make sure that we put everything together up to this point back properly. So let's take a look. I'll turn the water back on. Remember this time, lefty-loosey. There we go, water is back on. Nothing spraying out the bottom. The cartridge didn't go shooting across the room. We didn't make a sprinkler. There we go, we'll turn the water back on. Water's on. Now we can put the decorative color back onto it. Again, just lightly spin it till it catches. You don't want to force that. Generally speaking, it's just a plastic piece that's been painted to look chrome. They're not solid chrome. They're just cheap pieces. Now we can put the handle back on. If it is underneath where you have to put your hex key, I would definitely start with it in. It'll just save you a little time of messing around. There we go. Got it in there. Once again, we're tightening it so it's righty-tighty. A few times around. Now once you get snug, just give it a little bump past there. You don't want to tighten it too much because it's a metal set screw going into a piece of plastic. And the last thing you want to do is crack it, especially if you didn't have to replace the cartridge. I mean, it's not the end of the world, it's just a cartridge, maybe 25 bucks to replace. But there you have it. We've now fixed the leaking kitchen faucet handle. And that was a You Can Plumbing Quickie. If you liked what I had to say, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, let other people know about it. And until next time, thank you for watching. That's all.